This devotion that I like to call this the joy in the journey. I have a great joy in the journey that I've been able to take throughout my life, and I'd like to share that with you. First of all, I think we all are gone through our baptisms and everything else, and what that means to us as young children. We're very probably confused as far as what the baptism is and our relationship with Jesus Christ that we have. And so I went through a life with, we went to church and almost every Sunday, and went to Sunday school and learned about Jesus, but never really had a relationship with Jesus. So that was one of the things that really brought me towards this devotion for you, as far as what has been my journey with Jesus Christ, and how I really developed a relationship with Him. So I think it really began with me, and it does happen with a lot of people as we go through when you go through a rough time in your life, and you're searching for things, and you're searching for answers. And in the early 2000s, I went through a rough period in my life, and I was searching for something that was missing in my life. And it took me a long time to realize that I really never really had that relationship with Jesus Christ. And so as I began my search, I started going to churches and listening to the pastors and what they had to offer and the verses, and started reading the Bible. But one of the big impacts in my life as far as beginning to develop a relationship with Jesus was when I started going to Saddleback Church in Lake Forest, California. And Rick Warren, most of you have probably heard of. He's known globally, and especially here in California, but also throughout the world, as far as sharing his ministry with everyone. And he came up with what was called The Purpose-Driven Life. And that book really changed my life as far as what my life was all about. I really didn't have a set purpose. I didn't really know what it was that I was looking for in my life. And once I went through and read that book, it really showed me that I really have a purpose in life, and what that life is all about. And one of my main purposes is to deal with young children, deal with teenagers, teach them and lead them closer to Christ. That's really what changed my life, that I was looking for something in that particular area. There's a quote from Rick Warren's book, and it's from Bertrand Russell, who actually was an atheist. And he says, "Unless you assume a God, the position of life's purpose is meaningless." That really hit me, and it hit me to the point where I changed my life from being a self-centered human being to a servant leader. And I actually found my purpose, and my life changed during that time. And I think for the better for my students, for the better for my family, for the better for my wife. And those things really helped me. Mark in 9:35 says, "Jesus sat down, called the 12 disciples, and said to them, 'Whoever wants to be first must place himself last of all, and to be the servant of all.'" And that's really, as you look at that verse, you talk about putting yourself last and serving all others. And that's really, I went from a self-centered type of individual to a serving type of individual. And when people ask me, "Hey, what is it that what you do, or what are you doing for your students, or as at Concordia or at Capital Valley Christian School, what are you doing for them?" And I'm serving them. And that's really the first thing that comes out of my mouth, is that I'm serving them and showing them the way to Jesus Christ. I began a Fellowship of Christian Athletes program at Northwood High School in Irvine, California, and no one in that district had ever set up anything like that for our district. It was very difficult at public school to get that across to the district administrators, to the administrators at our school, that it was something that was needed for not only our school, but also for across the board for the district, and something that they would allow us to have. And so we started setting up huddles along with my good friend Tim O'Brien, who's still at Northwood, the head basketball coach there. I was head football coach. And we set up the Fellowship of Christian Athletes program and developed a program where we would have over 550 kids coming to hear testimonies each week, or actually every other week. Of course, there was free pizza, so that's one of the reasons why they came. But once they got there, they really were able to hear the word, hear the good news that was being taught out there and carried forward. And so we were really excited about having the kids lead. And the guest speakers that we had were fantastic. Jared Hall, who now is a FCA director, helped our program really get started with the guest speakers, and then the kids really kind of took hold of knowing that it was a student-centered program, and it had to be because it was a public school. So one of the things that I was missing, I think Tim would probably say the same, is that we never really had a chance to pray with the kids. Yes, we were the supervisors. We weren't really the leaders. We weren't the servant leaders, and we would help and set up the gym and help break it down and do all those kind of things as far as serving goes. And they could see that they could see that we were modeling those types of traits. However, that just wasn't filling up my need. I thought, as far as being able to be really close with the kids and to be able to lead them towards Jesus Christ. So it was a great place to start. And so I was always searching for being an educational program where we could actually have a spiritual program as well. So my next stop, I thought it would be a spiritual place really for me to grow along with my student athletes, but unfortunately it didn't turn out that way. It was a very, I guess you might say, hypocritical situation as far as that goes. But to go upon the positive part of it, I changed positions and went on to Capistrano Valley Christian Schools, which is in San Juan Capistrano, a very small Christian school, and interviewed for a lot of positions, and was offered the position at that school. And at that time, my wife says, "You have to take that. That's a place where God is calling you to be." And I've been there for over 8 months now, and there's no doubt that this is the place where God has called me to be, to help young men and young women as the head football coach and athletic director, to lead them in prayer, to lead them closer to Christ, to show them that I am a servant leader, and to to model those things that are really very dear to me. One of the things is the journey, as you'll find, is the journey is not always easy, and everyone gets challenged. But God led me to the right place, but only after I put all my faith into Him. It took that for me to come down in a very difficult place in my career, to where I had to put all my faith into Him to be able to find the fruits of being able to be a servant leader and to be able to be called to the right place. And once I put all my faith into Him, everything just seemed to happen. I was offered this job and accepted it, and then right after that, other jobs people kept calling and asking me to interview for other jobs and so forth. But this was what I felt God in my heart that God was really leading me to, and my wife told me that yes, this is the place where you need to be. And our motto for our school for this year, we have a new head of schools. His name is Chris Rutz, and he's been a head of schools at other places up in the Santa Barbara area, and he has brought a lot of energy to the school. We have a lot of new faces, a lot of new people in administration, a lot of new teachers, coaches as well, myself. And so it's been an adjustment period for all of us, but also for the kids as well. But when he came in, he brought in this motto that's called "This is Life." And it's kind of a motto that everyone can really adapt to or really relate to, I think. And it comes from John 10:10. The thief comes only in order to steal, kill, and destroy. I have come in order that you might have life in all of its fullness, in all of its abundant fullness. And I think that that really is what we believe in as far as our motto is concerned, as far as He has given us so much. And what is our response to that? Our response is to love Him. Our response is to forgive as He has forgiven us. and for us to be kind and compassionate and to have a heart for those that are hurting. And I think that's really where I like to come across to my students, to my student athletes, to my colleagues as well. But I think that I've been able to capture the joy in the journey. The joy in my heart now is just incredible. And I'm so thankful for the grace that God has given me. He's given me so much forgiveness and so much grace and joy. And that has led me to our school and has led me to be able to not only teach and be an athletic director and a football coach at a Christian school, but also to be able to teach and be a academic supervisor at Concordia University, another Christian school. So I think he was just knocking on the door all the time, and I just had to open up the right doors to be able to find the joy in my journey. And I hope that the journey you have is joyful, and that that all that joy that you have